Listen, you plant the seed, you let it grow, and then sometimes you just have to let it go. Y'all start snapping, cause I don't know how. Let me get into it. What I mean by this is me. The way I look at people is we're like our own version of Mother Nature. So for me, I look at people, they're not just people to me. We're all our own version of a flower, of a tree. And some people, I refer to them as flower. That's because flowers can only grow so much, but a tree, it will grow big and tall. And then, yeah, it'll lose its leaves, but they always come back. So what I mean by this is like I'll refer to myself like always, because who else would I refer to? So what I mean by this is, you see me, what I do is I go around with each individual person, and then I plant my seed. This is not that way, so let's calm down, okay? I don't even want to repeat that because that was just weird. But let's be for real. So I plant my seed. What is that seed? My seed of growth, my seed of potential, my seed of change. So each and every individual that I encounter in my life, for me, it's a test whether I can keep them around or not. Because the thing is, I'm growing and I want to keep growing. And there's only 2 individuals that I kept by my side who actually are still growing. And the only reason why I have only those 2 that I can say is because, again, others along the way, they stopped. But Gracie and Jade, I'm watching them grow and grow and grow. And they're also with me along my path. That's because they're also sitting here with me while I grow. So you know what happens? Me grow. Sorry. Okay, no, never mind. But there's some individuals in my life where I've realized, well, because my job for a lot of these people is to help. When I show up in your life, it's for a reason. It's not to drag you down, but to boost you up. And some people, they're unwilling to realize my purpose. And, well, they just choose to push me away. And again, I'm not just knocking at every doorstep like, knock, 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 let me in, I'm here to do this. Sometimes I just show up out of nowhere, like I was meant to just be there for certain individuals. Like you're in a desperate time in your life. Well, guess what? I showed up at your doorstep to help you out during this bad time. But the thing about it is some people, they're unwilling to change. So I sit by them still. I help them grow. I water them every day. I tell them it gets better. You could do this better. And I know I'm not perfect, but there's still some things that if you've overcome it, you could also help other people overcome it just in their own way. So, and that's by sharing experience. So I come around and I water the flowers and I water them. And then I help them grow. Me, I don't need anyone to water my flower because, well, people don't really show up for me the way I do. And I've began to be accustomed to that. I'm okay with that. But nonetheless, I water their flowers and I sit by them and I wait and I wait. And one thing about me is I'm not impatient. I'm not an impatient person at all. So I'll sit there and I'll wait and I'll wait and I'll wait. And I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm still waiting. And I will wait and I will wait for them to grow. But then it gets to a certain point where it's time to shed those old leaves and grow up more. But you know what happens? Some people, they feel like, oh, well, I've grown enough, so there's no more for me to do. There's no more growing I can do. So, well, they stop. And then you know what? I keep trying and I keep trying still because, again, that's about patience. It's about waiting. It's about being there. And I try and I keep trying and I'm thinking like, maybe still, even if they don't believe, as long as I'm here, I can help you believe a little bit more. So I keep watering it and I keep watering it. But now it's really just a stubborn plant. It doesn't want to grow anymore. So you know what happens? Well, I can't stick around anymore because in the meantime, I could also be watering other flowers, but instead I'm coming here every day, sitting by you, trying to help you, and you're just being stubborn because you feel like you're perfect. But again, there's even a bigger peak beyond that peak. There's good, there's better, but then there's great. And you can always, why not be the greatest? Why can we settle on the good? You could always be more. So once they've decided that they no longer want to grow anymore, well, for me, there's nothing else I could do. So you know what I have to do? I have to leave. Because this is the thing. Absence, it means a lot. This is the thing. That vacancy that you leave, it's something that it's noticed, because all of a sudden that person realizes, wait, why aren't they here anymore? Who else is gonna water my flower? Who else is gonna be there for me every day waiting on me? But the thing is, you can only do so much waiting for someone until it's time to go, because when okay? And then it's once you're not there that they realize that what the person that they were looking for, the caring, nurturing person to upkeep their flower, is no longer there. But that's because you chose to push that person away, because you felt like you were perfect. There was no more repairing you could do. There was no more growing you could do. So then I have to leave. And then I have to go help other people, because when you're one person, you can only be in so many different places at once. And for me, it's like I always know when it's time to give it a break. I have a friend, Kim. She was going through something by herself. I tried my best to stick through her storm and understand things and be there for her. But then what happened was my words were meaning nothing. The water, it didn't mean nothing. So you know what I had to do? Well, I tried my best. That's the thing. Every time I say I tried, that's enough for me. I tried to be there for her time and time again. But the thing is, she wasn't getting better. She was getting worse. So you know what? Even while it got worse, before I left, I tried to be there again and make her come to realizations. But what had happened was nothing was changing. So you know what I had to do? I had to leave for a little bit. I maybe stopped speaking to her for like 2 to 3 months. And then it's crazy, because when I came back, I just knew the time was right again. And when I came back, she told me I stopped and I'm doing better now. And I was like, you see, like sometimes you just have to let people go, because at the end of the day, sometimes as much as you try to be there for people, it's your absence that means more, because then they forget, like, wow, I really just lost the greatest thing that I could have possessed. And now that it's gone, they feel, well, ungrateful. And they don't feel ungrateful. They feel like, how would you say it? Like regret. I guess you could say regret. That there was one person, and she told me, she was like, I never realized it before, but like you were the only one out of everyone who was trying to actually help me. And that was just the plain simple truth. I really was the one trying to be there every time, constantly showing up. But then again, when you leave sometimes, that absence, it speaks volumes. The silence you leave that person with is not a silence that someone else could like, the traits one person possesses, you're never going to find the same person twice. And that's what some people need to realize. So you could go through 1,000 different people looking for that one name, but at the end of the day, you're never going to find that exact person in front of you, because that person only exists in one person, and that being that fucking person. Okay? This is why you need to understand, people who are trying to help you grow, people are trying to help you realize mistakes and get better. It's not an attack, it's an act of love. People who don't love you will allow you to sit there through drug abuse, won't tell you nothing about yourself, will feed into it. Those people, they're bringing you down along with yourself. A real ass friend, a real ass person who cares for you, they will want you to get away from that stuff and get better for yourself, because true gardeners, they want their crops to grow and to continue growing and to continue growing. They don't want them to die. What are you, a pesticide? Fuck. Spray on that whole start. Like, no, like real people who actually care about you, they want you to do better. They want you to become better for yourself. That's why you need to understand and pay attention to your environment. But you also need to understand there's only so much help you can offer. It's only so much time you could, like, how long are you going to sit there with your hand like this waiting for them to reach forward? How long? But it's only when you're gone, all of a sudden is when they want to put their hand up and start reaching. But guess what? It's too late, because you're gone. This is why we have to be more accustomed, we have to be more grateful for what's right in front of us, because sometimes it won't always be there. Okay? So again, you plant seeds, you watch it grow. And sometimes you could sit there and you could keep watching it grow and grow and grow. But the ones who no longer want to grow anymore, there's other plants to attend to. Okay? Upkeep your garden.